In 1984, the scientific community not only witnessed, but actually experienced one of nature's most terrifying faces. This strange and mysterious phenomenon silently claimed the lives of 37 people without even being seen. In Africa, several people traveling along a road suddenly died within a minute without any visible danger. What was even more shocking was that all of them died from the same cause: suffocation. Some people blamed it on evil spirits, while officially it was considered a chemical attack. But when the real cause was discovered, it was truly hard to believe. Welcome once again to Nobel's creation. Viewers, in August 1984, a very strange and frightening incident occurred in a remote region of Cameroon, Africa. There is a small lake here called Lake Nyos. This lake was known for its peaceful environment, but that same peace was about to turn into devastation. There were a few villages around the lake, and a road also passed nearby. On the night of August 1st, 1984, at around 11:30 p.m., people living near the lake heard a loud rumbling sound. At first, everyone thought it was thunder, but the sky was so clear that night that the stars were clearly visible. After this sound, some people who had not yet returned home noticed a fog close to the ground near the lake, but they ignored it and went to sleep. All night long, this mysterious fog continued to gather over Lake Nyos. The next morning, around 10:30 a.m., when the wind started blowing, this fog, still very close to the ground, moved toward the nearby road. People passing by thought it was just ordinary morning mist. But as soon as they came into direct contact with it, they started suffocating. And within 1 minute, bodies began to fall. As the wind carried the fog away, dead bodies were scattered across the road. Some were pedestrians, some were riding motorcycles, and some were found dead inside their vehicles. This mysterious fog claimed the lives of 37 people. Shortly afterward, police and doctors arrived at the scene, but there was nothing obvious to suspect. Initial investigations revealed that all the victims had died due to suffocation. This news spread fear throughout the region. 37 people dying at the same time, in the same place, from the same cause? It was extremely unusual. Many people started calling it an attack by evil spirits, while the government of Cameroon declared it a terrorist chemical attack. But both explanations made no sense. Because if terrorists wanted to carry out a chemical attack, why would they target innocent people in a remote village? Soon, the investigation turned toward nature itself. And this time, experts began to suspect the Cameroon line. This is a 1,600-kilometer-long chain of underground volcanoes that starts from the Gulf of Guinea and passes beneath the African mainland, right under the location of Lake Nyos. With the help of the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon, a scientist named Haraldur Sigurdsson was brought in to investigate the case. Sigurdsson thoroughly examined Lake Nyos, but he found no signs of volcanic activity in or beneath the lake. There were no signs of disturbance on the lakebed, nor were there sulfur particles in the water, which are usually present during volcanic activity. However, when Sigurdsson collected a water sample from the bottom of the lake, gas bubbles and foam started rising from it, just like when you open a bottle of soda. That was enough of a clue. He immediately understood that carbon dioxide gas had dissolved into the water at the bottom of the lake. Autopsies of the victims also confirmed that they had died due to carbon dioxide suffocation. But the question was, how did this dissolved carbon dioxide reach the people? It's important to know that carbon dioxide is heavier than normal air. If released into a room, it settles near the ground. And the fog seen near Lake Nyos was actually composed of carbon dioxide gas. But why did this gas suddenly escape from the lake? After a full investigation, Sigurdsson proposed a theory. He suggested that volcanic gases beneath the lake had slowly accumulated at the lake bed. The deep water of the lake kept dissolving this gas. Because the lake is located near the equator, it receives intense sunlight throughout the year. As a result, the upper layer of the lake remains warm, while the lower layer, containing the dissolved carbon dioxide, stays cold due to lack of sunlight. Cold water is heavier than warm water, so the bottom layer never mixed with the upper layer for centuries. Meanwhile, the amount of carbon dioxide kept increasing. Normally, if this lake were located in a region with seasonal changes, the upper layer would cool in winter and sink, causing the water to circulate twice a year. But near the equator, this does not happen. Pressure kept building in the lower layer of Lake Nyos. The upper layer acted like a lid on a soda bottle. Now, even a small disturbance in the lower layer could suddenly release all the carbon dioxide. Or if the pressure became too high, it could break through the upper layer. Sigurdsson explained that Lake Nyos had essentially become a time bomb, and this process could happen suddenly with an explosive release. The rumbling sound people heard the night before was likely the beginning of this process. This phenomenon was later named a limnic eruption. After 2 years of research, Sigurdsson published his theory in a scientific journal, but other scientists dismissed it as incorrect. However, 2 years later, in 1986, a similar incident occurred at Lake Nyos, about 100 kilometers north of Lake Nyos. Lake Nyos is also located on the Cameroon line and is twice the size of Lake Nyos. Around 9 p.m., a loud rumbling sound was heard there as well. Shortly afterward, a massive cloud of carbon dioxide, about 1 cubic kilometer, erupted from the lake. It is estimated that this cloud contained around 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide. Like before, the gas was heavier than air and spread rapidly into nearby valleys. These valleys were home to thousands of people. Tragically, 1,746 people died from suffocation. Not only that, but around 3,500 animals were also killed. Shockingly, even flies and insects did not come near the bodies because the gas had wiped out all the insects in the area as well. Only 4 people survived, simply because they were at higher elevations. Some people remained unconscious for up to 36 hours. When they woke up, they found their families and neighbors dead. Just months before this disaster, Sigurdsson's theory had been rejected. But after this incident, the world finally accepted it. Scientists from around the world began studying these lakes to better understand this mysterious phenomenon. It was discovered that in Lake Nyos, a landslide had triggered the release of gas. Researchers found fresh signs of fallen rocks on a nearby mountain. When massive amounts of rock fell into the lake, they disturbed the gas-rich bottom layer. This caused a sudden release of carbon dioxide. The process was so powerful that it even triggered a 25-meter-high tsunami within the lake. Waves crashed against the shores, leaving visible marks. After witnessing such destruction, one question remained. Could this happen again? It was found that both Lake Nyos and Lake Nyos were still slowly accumulating carbon dioxide, meaning the danger was not over. To reduce the risk, scientists proposed several solutions. The most practical and affordable one was to install pipes deep into the lakes to release the gas safely. Pipes were installed in both lakes. carbon dioxide began to be released in a controlled way. By 2009, Lake Nyos was fully degassed, and by 2019, Lake Nyos was also made safe. These two lakes were secured. But there is one more lake in the world that still poses this threat. And if it erupts, it could kill not thousands, but millions. That lake is Lake Kivu, located on the border of the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda. It is so large that around 50 Lake Nyos could fit inside it. And it is twice as deep. Lake Kivu is also located in a geologically active area. The same conditions exist there. Year-round sunlight prevents water mixing. Even more dangerous, the lake contains not only carbon dioxide, but also methane gas. Methane is less soluble in water than carbon dioxide, so it can reach its saturation point more quickly. If an eruption occurs, the released cloud would not only be toxic, but also flammable. It could catch fire. Another major concern is the population. Around 2 million people live around Lake Kivu. If a disaster occurs, it could become the deadliest natural catastrophe in human history. Scientists worldwide are closely monitoring the lake. They aren't sure if such eruptions have happened there before, but they do know that methane levels have been increasing. Reducing this threat is extremely difficult.
The lake is massive, and the region faces political instability. Conflict in eastern DRC makes it unsafe for scientific teams. A company named Kivu has started extracting methane to generate electricity, but experts say the process is too slow. Some even warn that this extraction could trigger an eruption. Lake Nyos showed the world what limnic eruptions are. Lake Nyos showed how deadly they can be.
And Lake Kivu holds the potential to be even more dangerous. Considering the population and ongoing conflicts, it would not be wrong to call Lake Kivu the most dangerous lake in the world. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and share. Thank you for your kind comments. See you in the next amazing video.